You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. We are in Stillwater today, in cowboy country. I don't have my boots on. I actually looked at my boots and thought, maybe, but the clean jeans I have were not my boot-wearing jeans, so that's why I don't have boots on today. But we are in cowboy country to talk about Balanced Coffee Co. Great cup of coffee. Thank you guys for having me. We're going to be here. You're going to host a couple of podcasts, or a few podcasts today, so I really appreciate you opening up your space. It's a Sunday, it's busy, which is awesome to see. But Lexi and Michael are on the podcast today to talk about their coffee shop and I guess a little bit about their Oklahoma story. So thank you guys for being on.
Appreciate
having us.
Of course. Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about it. I'm not really a coffee connoisseur. But also
we'll
I do. I'm going to learn something today. I understand the craftsmanship of it, so I can understand the care that people take into crafting good coffee. So I know more than most. As far as palate, I'm from the UK. We don't have a palate, really, sadly. Most people, if you've traveled to the UK, you'll know that our food's pretty bland. But I guess what we'll do is we'll start with how you guys met.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We had some mutual friends on MySpace. Yeah, take it way back. And one day I just asked to be her friend on MySpace, and
I was a top friend of one of his friends.
Oh yeah, and so we just kind of did that and started talking from there.
Yeah, he just turned 14 and I just turned 16, and so yeah, it just kind of like blossomed from there. Started hanging out with our mutual friends, started dating. I moved on to high school and he was still in junior high. So, I did what every girlfriend does, is pick up her kid from middle school. And I sat with all the moms.
Yeah, all my friends were waiting on their moms to pick them up. And I was like, well, I'm waiting on my girlfriend to pick me up. So they're like, oh, can I catch a ride with you? So
looking back, it's so weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird,
but we made it.
Yeah.
We're here.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, MySpace, I wasn't really big into tech, so I was not on MySpace. I did come to Facebook after that, though.
Oh, MySpace was way better.
Or whatever.
You can customize it, put a song on your page. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was sadly my head was in golf a lot, and I never had my head in a laptop on my phone.
That's cool.
And it brought me here, so it paid off.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool that you guys. I mean, how long have you guys been together since then?
We've been together for almost 14 years.
Yeah.
And then in June we'll be married 7 years.
Good for you. Yeah. So born and raised in Stillwater?
In Enid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Every time I think of Enid, I think of the Flamingo. The
Flamingo!
the best place in the city.
Yeah.
You've got to go there.
I know.
If people listen to this podcast all the time, they'll know I bring that up every time I hear about Enid. You've got to go there. So good. So grow up in Enid, and then what brings you guys then to Stillwater?
So my best friend growing up, her mom lived here and her dad lived in Enid, and so I spent a lot of times coming here, on the weekends, spending time in Stillwater, doing all the fun things here, and so I just really kind of fell in love with it. And then we moved to Oklahoma City our first year of marriage, and that was fun. And then we decided we want to open up the coffee shop, and my best friend was still here and was also opening up a business, and so me and my best friend always said, we got to live in the same town. So that's where we are. We're here, and we're happy to be here.
And we kind of like the small town feel. And we like that the college is here because Stillwater's always going to be progressing, sometimes slower than what we would like and some people would like, but
it will be progressing. It's like small town feel, but it has that trendiness feel too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, we really liked that. The city was a little big for us.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't go to college here then? You just moved
No,
here?
so I went to college. After high school, I played college basketball. It was at Hillsdale Free Will Baptist. Now it's called Randall University. My freshman year, I tore my ACL and shredded my cartilage in my knee. So that kind of put an end to my basketball career.
Yeah.
And then we just stayed in the city after that.
Yeah.
So.
And I was going to school to be a dental hygienist. I did all my hours and everything. And then once I had to do my actual hours, like with a hygienist, I was losing my stomach. And I was like, oh no, I did all this work for nothing. And so we were both just at a crossroads in life, like, oh man, like both of our lives aren't going as planned. What are we going to do? And so it really kind of took, again, my best friend being like, well, if you could do like anything, like no obstacles in the way, like what would you do? And I'm like, well, I'd open up a coffee shop. And then she's like, yeah, I know, I saw you doing that. And she just graduated with entrepreneurship from OSU. And so she was like, well, why don't we just try to do that? And I'm like, we'll only make safe decisions. I'm like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. But I went back to Oklahoma City that night and talked to Michael. And we prayed about it for a long time just because I didn't have peace with anything, like with like the job that I want to do, and I felt like everyone is moving on with their lives, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so we prayed about it, and basically everything just started falling into place.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty. Yeah, I mean, so you don't have anyone like in your family that's like entrepreneurial?
All of his family, like everyone in his family owns their own business somehow, and so
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of part of it.
But you didn't grow up with like someone who was like, they all work kind of 9 to 5. Is that why you kind of tended
no,
towards this?
I mean, my family, they're pastors.
Yeah.
And so they definitely not 9 to 5.
But steady income job.
Steady
paid,
income
yeah.
job. Yeah, definitely.
So your best friend says, well, why not? She's obviously armed with a degree in entrepreneurship from
And she was
State.
just opening up a business, and she's like, I know how to open one up. And then we're like, well, that's cool. And then we started like praying about it. And we were looking at buildings here in Stillwater, and we were looking around like, okay, everything needed a lot of work.
Right.
And we're like, okay, but there's no charm. Everything needed a lot of work, no charm. And we're like, okay, well, a couple weeks in of looking, we look at this building, and it is like completely empty. Like brick wall to brick wall, completely empty. But it has brick walls. And it has charm. And the guy that owned it is also a contractor, and he's like, I just want to see someone in it. Like, I'll do your guys' build out.
Yeah.
I'll do like everything, and like we kind of split those costs. Like, but whatever you guys want to do, like I'll do. And so
And it was good that we found this place because we grew up, and the reason why we wanted to open a coffee shop, we grew up going to coffee shops, and we always dream up our idea of like
Sure.
how we would want it to be. And this is a great space because we wanted it to be, you walk in the front and you see a lot of tables closer together and more activity up at the front. And as you come farther back, it gets a little bit quieter. And then that's why we have a back room is for events and people who want to come and like have intimate conversations or just come and study
Or
stuff like that. Or
podcasts.
podcasts.
Yeah.
So it really worked out that we found this building
Yeah.
and we got to kind of dream up our
Ideal coffee shop.
that we wanted. So
Yeah. So when your friend says to you, hey, like let's do this, and you guys think, she comes to you, and then obviously the three of you go in on it together, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, just want to make sure that Michael's not off doing another job.
Oh, no.
Or are you off doing another job?
Well, we kept our regular jobs
Yeah, of
until we
course.
could work here. And so we were commuting back and forth once we did move here to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Just kept our normal jobs.
But all you do solely is the coffee shop.
yeah.
That's good to be all in as well. Like once you work at the job, it's ready to go. You've gone for it. And why coffee?
I grew up going to a local coffee shop in Enid with my family, and I just loved the sense of community it brought, like meeting other people there and just the relationships that were formed. I mean, I learned to play Chinese checkers in that, and then I'd play other people, and then they'd have like music, and I just really loved that, how it brought people together.
Yeah, coffee creates just a big community of people, and we've definitely seen that here. And we didn't know until later on how much actually went into coffee, and once we started learning the actual craft of it, because whenever we started going to coffee shops, we were getting like, you know, the frappes and like all the sweet stuff.
We were getting dessert. I mean, we were kiddos, so we couldn't handle the black stuff.
Once we got older and like started drinking just better and better coffee, and we realized like, oh wow, like this is black coffee. I've never liked this before. How does it taste so good? And like just studying the craft of it, we really started to get into it more because of that.
Yeah, and well, we grew up also just going to different coffee shops. Once we started dating, we started visiting other coffee shops and just like really fell in love with it. And then when we decided we wanted to open it up, it's kind of funny because neither one of us worked in a coffee shop, and we're opening up a coffee shop. Yeah. I know, it's crazy. So we like looked at some schools, and we found this barista school in Portland that you could go to. And so we like literally, I was like finishing my finals in my college, and then the next week I was going to barista school. And so we flew there with Katie, and then that's when we really started learning about like the science of coffee and how important it is, like seed to cup, all of that, and how each process is very essential just to have that really nice balanced cup of coffee. And that's whenever I started realizing like, oh, like I like black coffee, like pour overs are so good, I don't need to have all this sugar and everything. And so we really fell in love with the science of it. So like just like what the coffee shop can bring to the community, and also what it, just like the craft of the coffee is really important. And then we also just like through the years, we work with Onyx Coffee Lab, and we learn about the farms and how like it's really important to pick a roaster. So they are like pick a good roaster that's taking care of the farms. So literally from seed to cup, the detail of everyone being taken care of, the detail of the seed or the bean and everything. So
initially then it comes from having just a place where people can bring community together, right? And then you're like, well, we should probably learn about coffee. How long was that school in Portland?
So
do you both go together as well?
It was all three of us.
Okay.
So we did a custom class of 3 days, and it was just us three because it was more hands-on. And we just crammed a lot of information and work into those 3 days.
They have other classes where you can take it with other people, but it's not as intense, and it's a little bit longer. Or they had the customized class where it is just intense one-on-one with the trainer all day long. And it's just, that's what we did. And
we learned a lot from that. But then once we were trying to find our roaster as well, and we reached out to Onyx. Onyx has some of the top trainers in the world and baristas. And once we signed with them, for them to be our roaster, we got trained there, because when you sign with them, they're like, hey, we want to make sure you're brewing our coffee good. So we went there, got some more training, and it was.
And Onyx is like the mecca of coffee places, right? It's Arkansas, Kansas?
Northwest Arkansas.
Northwest Arkansas, I always hear people going there, or friends of mine have gone, taking pictures, and like it is like the holy grail of coffee, right?
And it's funny, like when we signed with them, they were big, but I don't think that they had gone to any competitions yet, really.
Well, they have, but it was just like...
It was right before they started winning all of them. And so we signed with them, and then we're like, rooting for them at competition and everything, and then they're just winning, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is awesome, this is great.
And the owner, Andrea, she's great. She talked to us. She was like, anything you need, whether you
want to sign with us or not.
Want to use us or not. I mean, she was awesome. Just everyone there has really helped us out and grow as, I feel like, a coffee shop.
I feel like they're our parents. They're really awesome. They have a really good relationship with them. They're all so sweet.
So how long is it then from when you decide, yes, let's open a coffee shop, you find this space, how long is it between then to thinking, like to going on, the class till like opening day? Like what's that timeline?
So I think in April we decided we were going to do it, and at the end of May we were going to the class.
Okay.
And then to actually open the coffee shop, it took about 1.5 years.
A lot of construction.
There's a lot of construction.
What year was that?
We opened in 2017, September of 2017.
Okay. So for all of 17 and a little bit of 16, then it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. So I
building
think
up the
April of
space.
2016 is when we decided.
Yeah. Did you go on any like research tours to other coffee shops around? Like, was it just kind of building ideas and building, I guess, your Pinterest list of this is what we want now that you knew the space?
As far as like design goes, it was just us and the barista school helped with bar layout.
Yeah.
So that actually helped us out so much. I think they probably, like, if we would have done it on our own, we would have had to like redo things and it would have cost us more money, but they saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, for never working in a coffee shop before and figuring out like the flow of everything. We have a big, nice bar and it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
As far as I guess process of like making coffee, having a community space in, I guess, the restaurant industry, food and beverage industry, had you worked in any like previous places like that growing up?
I worked at a locally owned sub shop in Enid called Uptown Subs.
Oh, it's not there anymore.
It's not there anymore, RIP. They had the best sandwiches, but I worked there for like 4 years, I think. And it was just like us girls working the evening shift. We didn't really work with a manager. And so you kind of just had to like take on responsibility on your own to see what needs to be done and stuff like that. And I built like a lot of relationships with customers there.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that part of it, is just getting to know the customers, knowing exactly what they like. I guess just building community just in those little evening shifts at Uptown Subs was nice. But I guess I didn't realize like how much I loved it until like looking back and you miss those people and you wonder like what they're up to and stuff like that. So
Michael, you didn't have any previous experience with like
no, not in the service industry as much. I was really involved in basketball, so in high school and everything. I worked with my dad in the summers, and then I worked at a clothing store for probably about a year, and after that, so nothing like her.
So then fast forward then after this, newfound love of coffee, and then you are, you've done your very, deep dive into training. You come here, like, what you're doing. I guess then, you obviously, you got a sense of confidence then, because like, you're like, okay, now we've got a space, we've got the build out, it's moving forward, now we actually know how to make coffee. Where does that passion lead you to, I guess, researching, diving into the history and from seed to cup and everything? Like, where does that take you in a moment of, we're opening up a coffee shop, what do we want it to be like, where are we getting our beans from? You sign with Onyx, like, tell me about that process before you open, of just research and excitement and ups and downs. I mean, you're also a couple, right? So, being together and opening a business is not easy.
Yeah.
As well as Katie involved too. Opening up a business is not easy anyway. And then you throw in 3 people, 2 of those are married. Like, there's a lot to go up and down, right? So tell me about that as opening up a business for people listening that, anything could be done, obviously, because we're here today.
Yeah. Anything can be done. I don't know. Like, I've known Katie since birth. Like, we've been friends since birth, and of course, like, our relationship has gone back a long time. Honestly, there wasn't. Everything is pretty smooth, and I know that is not the answer you guys want to hear, but like.
Why was it so smooth?
I think it's because we have all known each other so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we know each other's like weaknesses and strengths, and so we are just very like understanding of each other.
So I feel like there was a lot of, everyone was on the same page with like the good ideas or the bad ideas of like, hey, actually let's not do this, or hey, this is gonna work better. And so I feel like that us being on the same page really helped the process and really helped everything just go a lot quicker and smooth.
Yeah. And I honestly in being married and working with him all the time, people always ask, like, I could never work with my husband, like, how do you do it? But I honestly feel like it's easier when you work with your husband every day, because you go to work and you have the exact same struggles. Like, you understand each other to like the point where whenever you get home at the end of the day, you don't have to explain to them how good or bad your day was. You just have to be like, you don't even have to say a word. You guys, like, when we're tired, we just sit in our home and we're just like quiet, and we know. You know what I mean? Or like, if I am like on edge. He knows why I'm on edge. I don't have to explain it. You know, I don't have to relive it by explaining it to him. And so it's just, we are so on the same page, which is like honestly beautiful. And I recommend like a lot of people doing it. Because like that's kind of how it was back then, like mom and pop shops, like they worked together, they're on the same page, they had the same goals.
And I feel like we both have our responsibilities and they're just unspoken. Like she'll just go do her thing and I go do my thing, and it just makes the task get done a lot quicker. And I feel like easier because we're like, oh, I know I need to get done, and I'm like, I know I need to get done. And so sometimes we split, do them, and it's a lot quicker. And it takes a lot of stress off both of us.
It does. And as far as like my best friend goes, you know, she opened up a couple more businesses with her family, and so she is just doing those things now. Like she's kind of stepped out, which is totally fine because we were ready. Like, you know what I mean? Like she just helped us at the beginning part because we didn't know what we were doing.
Which is great. Without her, it would have been a lot tougher.
It would have been a lot tougher. She was such an angel. And so, but yeah, it just kind of transitioned. I mean, communication is of course really important. And so I think if like new people are wanting to start it out and they're not communicating their feelings, and their needs and their strengths and their weaknesses, if they're not communicating those things, then other people just don't know. And so if they don't know, they can't be better.
No doubt. Well, I mean, just from hearing you talk and explain that, like the things that stand out to me is like you had a clear plan, and the most important thing is you seeked out people who were professionals in their field, right? Like you go do a course in Oregon, you know, you go to Onyx, who are clearly up there with, you know, if not the best people to go to, and they train you even more. You know, your best friend, even if she wasn't your best friend, you're probably gonna seek out someone who's built businesses before, right? Or has a background in entrepreneurship. So that's the things that stand out for me listening to that. It's like you didn't just jump into this like, oh, let's open a coffee shop and we have this cool space and we have no idea how to make coffee, but we have a space, so come on down. That is true. We did seek out like the best advice we could seek out everywhere. I mean, and it is a lot of work. Like I don't know why people say we make it look easy, because it's not easy. Like you're always working. But
it's not like people think like, oh, you own a small business, like you can make your own schedule and you could like, you know, give yourself off whenever. Like yes, that is true, but they also don't. They see us working like behind the bar, but a lot of people don't see what happens whenever we're done and we have a million things to do when. Or it's
1 o'clock in the morning and our espresso machine's not working and we're like, we have to open tomorrow. What are we going to do? And stuff like that. But yeah, we always, I mean, I think that's also just part of being successful in anything, is just talking to the people who are really good at what you want to do.
Definitely. So. No, I mean, we're here, right? It's been, you know, 4 years later, right? It'll be 5 this year. God, the last 2 years just disappeared.
I know.
And I refuse to think that I'm getting older because I'm now turned 30.
Oh, me too.
31, actually. See, I keep forgetting. Can you go into detail on, you know, like when you were doing research and going to coffee places and kind of the build outside, go into detail on, like, I love the cup that I'm drinking from, right? Like, it's not just a normal coffee cup, right? It's really cool. And I obviously, every cup's kind of different, looks like it, you know, just the space, and go into detail on why the space looks the way it does, and kind of the color scheme and just, you know, the decor and just stuff like that. Like, where does that come from?
Okay, so I did a little research on the color, and during the time I was already kind of in love with this slate blue color. It was very in style then, but then I also read like blue's a very calming color, and I wanted people to feel comfortable here, and so that's kind of why we went with blue. And then we do have brick walls, and so I kind of wanted to keep an earthy feel. So that will always look timeless type of thing. And so we do have, that's why we like have more like wood accents and stuff like that, natural looks. And then as far, I don't know, like, I don't really know. It was all kind of coming together.
It's kind of like whenever, I mean, it's just, you go somewhere and you feel like, oh, I like this. I don't know why I feel so calm at this place. And aesthetics are a big thing of that. And so we looked at things, you know, online at other shops, restaurants, stuff like that. And was like, oh, like this looks really cool. Like let's take something similar to this and try to, you know, put it in our cafe.
Yeah, and there is like, I mean, we try to like make little updates each year, keep it fresh paint type of thing. Just because, I mean, I say this and I know it might kind of sound kind of shallow, but I do think there's some type of therapy in aesthetically pleasing things. Like just drinking from a nice coffee cup can literally like just, I feel like, soothe your day. Like,
one, it feels like it's something I would drink out of my house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a corporate white cup
you don't
with a
want
logo
anything
on it,
dingy to drink out of.
Right.
Like, I don't know. And our customers are really important, and so we want to keep on making them feel important by giving them nice things.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like, as soon as I picked it up, I was like, you know, it looks like a tan-made, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it looks really cool, and I like have a nerdy sense into, I'm kind of terrible at pottery work, but I just appreciate it. I think it looks awesome.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Definitely looks cool. How much fun was it, like, going out and sourcing, like, you know, like the build out stuff, like chairs and tables, and like, I mean, you don't, you know, you're definitely not going to IKEA to pick stuff up, right? You're going to like thrift stores and cool places and picking out, you know, like a set of chairs or a table here and there.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that, because that for me, like, as much as I hate shopping, going out and picking up old stuff that has a story to it, that's ticking a big box in my world.
Yeah, that's actually what we did. So that whole like rustic was very in then, and so we, of course, we had like a year and a half to plan for our decorations. So we would randomly go to Guthrie and just buy a whole bunch of like cool things, and just go to like antique malls in the city, buy a few things, and then we had them all like packed, everything for balance, like packed in our house for like over a year, and we would just keep like shoving things in
one by one, slowly.
It was rough living in it, but it was really cool. Like once we got to start actually like decorating, we were like pulling out all of the things that we bought, and it was like you forgot about it. Yeah, and it's like Christmas. You're like, oh, this is so cool, this is cool, and then like you remember the story behind it, like whenever you bought it, and I don't know, it is really fun doing all that stuff.
Is there anything that stayed in the house and you're like, this is staying? We're not the coffee shop's not having this is staying in the house?
Well, no, because we've gone through a whole minimalist kick, and so we try not to keep a lot.
What kind of pushed you to go that way with the minimalist stuff?
Oh, well, we were waiting on our house to get renovated, and that also took way longer than planned, and so we were actually homeless for a little bit, moving like every weekend from Airbnb to Airbnb, and we got tired of moving our stuff, so we just started getting rid of a lot and started like reading on minimalists and all that.
Just like, if you haven't used this item in this long, like, does it really have a meaning to you? And then same with our clothes. We donated so much of our clothes because we're like, oh, this is cool, but I haven't worn it in 2 years, so why take up
Once
the space?
you have to start moving everything, you're like, I really don't need this.
Right.
And everyone pretty much wears the same stuff week by week anyway.
What's that lady on Netflix, the TV show that does like did you watch that as well? Have you seen that? There's a lady on Netflix who basically, I mean, my wife watched it and was like, we need to purge through our closet.
Is it like the tidy lady?
Yeah, something like that.
I watched a couple of
and
hers.
like a week later, I'm donating 6 bags of stuff that, like I said, never worn. I'm never going to wear again, but I have some sentimental value to it because I wore it once and it gave me a memory, and I'm like, I'm never going to wear this again. So
that happens too.
Yeah. So I mean, the story, I love it. I love the fact that you guys met a long time ago. You've been together a long time. It'll be 7 years. You guys being married soon. And you've just kind of woven this story, you getting hurt at basketball, right? I'm sure you didn't expect to open up a coffee shop when you were playing basketball.
I planned on actually playing overseas, and it was just unfortunate that my career, I played basketball for so long, I never had any major injuries, and then my first year of college basketball, I mean, it came to an end really quick, and I just told myself, like, it's not worth it to go through
re-injuring yourself.
That injury again. So I kind of just stopped there.
I mean, that's why I love doing this podcast, because everybody's story is different, and everyone kind of story just weaves through life, and you see little turning points, right? You getting injured, you thinking, not enjoying being a dental hygienist, and like I couldn't do it either, and then your best friend was doing entrepreneurship. Like, it's just a perfect mix, and then you've been 5 years in this business, and you have a coffee shop, and it's a place that, I mean, we're here on a Sunday, and like I said, you're trialing being open on Sundays, and it's clearly worth it because this place is packed out, which is great to see. going, I guess, a little bit back then to the start, why balanced coffee? Like, where does the name balanced come from?
Okay, so it kind of started back where, like, there's kind of a lot of different reasons why we were doing this. And, I mean, I feel like to be, like, happy in life, you have to, like, balance out many different things. Well, we wanted the shop to be, like, the front very social, and like that's where the speakers are. You got the bar up there, you have the bigger tables up there, and then so we wanted to create a spot for the people that want to be social, and then it goes into like, to the individual tables, to the people that just kind of want to study, maybe one-on-one conversations type thing. Then we have like the hammocks, which are actually just supposed to be little reading nook things. I mean, people still go back there and talk, which is fine.
Sometimes sleep.
Sometimes people sleep in the hammocks.
People passing out. I mean, if you're studying all day, then I probably would pass out too.
And then back here to the quiet. So what, like balancing out like why you want to come to a coffee shop. And then also we started going to barista school, and we didn't tell him that we were wanting to name our coffee shop Balanced, and then he just kept on saying the perfect cup of coffee is balanced. It's balanced with acidity.
And they still do. Like if you watch any, I mean, Onyx on their website, if you watch any of their training videos, because they post their videos of like, hey, this coffee is best in this brew device, and like you'll hear them say like it'll be balanced with acidity and sweetness and all that.
Where I was like,
So that was when that the light bulb moment went off.
Yeah,
it was like, reinforced again.
It was reinforced, because we were kind of like thinking about it, and then he just kept saying it. We all just kept like looking at each other. But it really has like since then. I feel like I don't know. It is hard to like balance life in many different ways, and sometimes I'm like, balance has kind of made me off balance in life, you know what I mean, just because of like learning how to have like time for me and not pour all of myself into my work, and learning how to have time for us and not talk about work 24/7.
Must be hard.
And so I guess that's just like the ultimate goal is to achieve balanced while we're running Balanced.
Are there any names that were on the list that quickly crossed off, or just names that just came to mind straight away before Balanced?
We were talking about. What were you talking about? It was, I think, centered got brought up because we're like trying to think of a word like where people come and like center in and like focus and
on
everything
the thing that
like
they want to do, like center in.
It just wasn't clicking very well.
We just didn't think it was super cute.
And you didn't want to put your own names in it? Or like you didn't want to put your own name in it?
Oh, no.
No?
We don't even tell people like
as long as people can keep thinking I'm a college kid just working at a coffee shop, I'll be happy.
People come in like, how long have you worked here? I'm like, like
it's just a
4
few years.
And so we never try to be like, I'm the owner. You know, it's
funner
like,
just to act like a college kid. And I love it when people are like, do you like working here? Is this fun? And I'm like, oh my God.
I love it.
It's like, it's pretty chill.
The owners are great.
The owners are great.
No, it's I get that feeling though when you walk in here, like everyone's really nice, everyone's super happy, and it is an inviting space when you walk in. Like you got those two kind of like, as you walk in on the right and the left, you got those two kind of like cuddle type cove places, right? They're like couches and seats, and it's not like white tables, Apple Store like that looks like strictly business. It looks like somewhere you could come in, read a book, or come in and study, right? And I love like. I didn't notice this until you said it, but the fact that the tables get a little bit further away, the further you go back, and the more you want to be on your own, you kind of go towards the back kind of thing and get your work done, which is really nice. And obviously the space that we're in today, it's big enough to host people and have an event here. Even if it's a small group or if it's a group of 20 people, right? You could easily have people in here to do whatever. It's closed off. I mean, it's when I walked in earlier, I was like, are we going to have an issue with sound because this place is packed? And then I came back here and I was like, because when we initially started doing this, we were like, it's closed on Sundays, it'll be great. And I walked in, I was like, this could be an issue.
You're like, they're not closed on Sundays.
Right, but it's not, because it's, it's really cool to have that. Obviously, you've been in the business 5 years. Going forward then, do we have any plans to have a second, a third? Are we going to expand? Do you want to ever open one back in your hometown in Enid? Like, what was kind of your thoughts on that?
So for a long time, our thoughts were no, because we really, like, I just love, like, I kind of talked about a mom and pop shop earlier, and I love the idea of owners being in the shop. I think everything just runs a little bit smoothly, and I just think it's just a sweeter atmosphere. And so I always said no, because I would hate to miss out on important details from not being in the shop. However, we were offered, some people asked us to open up at the bottom of the Wesley Foundation on campus, which is it's a really good location on University in Washington, right across the street from the library line. And honestly, I didn't want to do it. They emailed me, and I didn't even get back with them until like a few months later. I was bringing it up to Michael. I'm like, oh yeah, they want us to be in there. And then he said, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, but we can't handle that. And then he's like, well, just email them back and see like what the gig is. And so I emailed him back. We started meeting with them, and they were just really good people. It just kind of like all made sense after meeting with them. And so we have actually opened up another location there.
Yeah.
And my brother moved down, which is nice.
Yeah.
He moved down and he's managing that location. So we do have like a full-time person over there that really cares for it. And that's what that's what I was wanting.
And it's in, you know, it's not very far from here. It's in the same town, and so it's nice that we could still take care of like everything if we had to.
If we had to, we can. Yeah.
We do
quality control.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like initially, I guess you were like, oh, I don't want to do that because it makes you feel uncomfortable. Expanding's not easy, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, actually, we can, like that initial jump, right, of opening this one, you're like, we've done it before.
Yeah.
And I guess because it's at a smaller scale, you know what you're doing. It's less of an investment because you know what you're doing. You've done, you've made all the mistakes, if any, to get here. Like, that makes sense to go something kind of smaller. And,
something
just
smaller.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then slowly build out from there. And then obviously, if you've got a family member who's interested and wants to run it for you, you've got someone you really trust.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely helps having a family member. They have the same view and visions and care for it. So.
And finishing up then, obviously, you know, we're not in your hometown, but we're in a town that you definitely care for. You love the feel of Stillwater, the vibe, the people, the size of it, the pace. Looking back, would you do anything differently in the last 5 years?
I feel like I want to say yeah, but I just can't think of anything.
I mean, of course, there's things that's like, well, why haven't we been doing this all along? Why haven't we been doing this all along? That's just part of learning.
Well, the process of evolving as a business, but any like big significant changes?
No, I mean, I feel like we've learned from everything. I don't regret our location at all. I love our location. I don't regret the building. I don't regret opening it up in Stillwater. Like, I liked Stillwater before, but like being here and then just getting to know all of like the locals and everything really makes you love it.
Yeah.
Like, it is the sweetest town. Like, it's the reason why they call it like the friendliest college town, because everyone in here is really sweet. And like during the pandemic, of course, every business was hurting.
Yeah.
We were hurting. We were doing like curbside stuff, and like people that would normally come in like once or twice a week, like locals, would come in like at least once a day or maybe twice a day, and they would tell us like, we can't lose you guys, like we love you, you know what I mean? And I don't know if you get that everywhere. You know what I mean? And so,
and realizing that at that moment that it was a hard time for not just businesses but everyone, and just us realizing that people love us and want us to be here is just like, I feel like such a great feeling.
And I feel like Stillwater really does a good job of just rallying around each other and supporting each other, which is just awesome. Like, it has a great sense of community that I've fallen in love with. And the college kids are just also fun. They always bring us wild cards. Like, you never know what college kids are gonna do, and they keep us young. They keep us kind of trendy, I guess. But I don't know. So you have like the locals that are just awesome, and you love them so much. But then you also have these college kids that are so fun to be around. So.
It's great to hear, like, you know, from the community's kind of seen this place as like, you know, a pillar in the community, and they want to be here and they want you guys to open. They don't want to lose you. And like I said, you got those people coming around that you know that realize it's not easy, especially for a first-time business owner as well,
Yeah.
right? Navigating through all of that, is not easy.
Yeah.
Even if you're a seasoned business owner, it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
So having that support from the community is really special.
It is special.
And having people come in and just like, what have you got that I can buy from you?
Yeah.
And doing curbside. That's neat to hear, and I'm sure you guys are proud to be members of Stillwater as a business community, and
I'm so happy that
support.
they've taken us under their wing and we're like a part of the community and everything. Because honestly, I think if I didn't have such a strong community, I don't know how long I could go, because owning a business is hard, you know what I mean? But like whenever I work here and I see like the regulars come in, you know what I mean?
And new people you get to meet, and that's great that the college is here, because we see it, and we make new relationships, every year, every semester.
And then they come back and
people,
visit, which is really nice. And so
it's
I don't
a
know.
unique position to be in, right?
Yeah, it is
like
very
you're going to be in
unique.
someone's life for 4 years, and then they're going to bring their parents here, and then whatever family here, whatever it is. And then they're going to return, right? And then that's a really cool thing to have, and
it is
position
cool
to be in. So
like homecoming is always really fun because so many people come into town and we get to catch up with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard because you have these college students that come in and they work for us and they're great and everything, and we're just like, oh, they're leaving in a year, and you have to restart the process, and you're just like, oh, I'm trying to find someone that'll be here a little bit
For someone
longer.
that hates
And
goodbyes, I have to do it a lot.
No, but finishing up, thanks for having us today. Obviously, there's going to be a few podcasts recorded here. Love the story; it's awesome.
Thank you.
I love when people can listen to this now and they understand, how you guys get to where you are, and then the fact that you've never opened up a business before and it can be done, by listening and taking lessons from this podcast. That, seeking out professionals, diving in and doing it the right way, and and you didn't rush it. It took a year and a half to open, right? And that's fine. Like some people think that they want to open in a week. Probably not. But it's really cool to listen to that, and I love the fact that obviously I'm sure there has been ups and downs. I mean, there is naturally with everything, but the fact that you guys have 5 years in this place, you're a part of the community, you have another location as well, and they came to you, just shows that it was the right timing. They see the value in you, and it's not just like you're out there seeking, hey, where can we open up next, and kind of just like trying to be like someone corporate business and opening up on every corner and putting everybody else out of business. So that's kind of really cool to see. The community space here is awesome. As people here, happy, or they're not happy because they're studying, whatever it is, this place is full. Great decoration, great cup of coffee, and I've been here before and I didn't realize it until I walked in today, because I came from the other direction when I came here. I came from in town rather than coming in from out of town. But yeah, for people listening, how can they, what's your address, what's your social medias, how can they get involved? And then if there's a mother or father or a kid listening that wants a college job in Stillwater, how can they apply for a job as well?
Oh, okay. So, we're on Instagram and we're on Facebook. And as far as jobs go, I get probably 5 applicants a week.
So you're not struggling with jobs then? That's good to hear.
Yeah. That is a perk, again, of being in a college town, is everyone wants to work during this time just because they have bills they need to pay. So thankfully we haven't had to deal with a shortage of staff.
Yeah.
And if they really wanted to work here, honestly, we hire people that come into our shop, and we already know them type of thing. Because so many people lie in interviews. Don't lie in an interview.
Yeah.
But so many people do, and so just kind of coming in and creating that relationship, I guess, before you start working is really how we've gotten some of our best employees.
Awesome. So the Instagram is
Balanced Coffee Co.
Okay, I'll put that and the link to the Facebook in the description. And last question, what is your favorite cup of coffee to make? If you were going to make one cup of coffee and you were to have that for the rest of your lives, what would that one cup of coffee be? Yeah,
That's
just one cup. I know. That's
for me to drink or for me to make and serve?
Ooh, is it different? Okay, I'll do both.
Okay. For me to drink would probably be pour over.
Yeah.
For me to make for somebody would be probably a cappuccino, just because you make a good shot of espresso, and then you have to steam milk the right way, and just putting those together, sometimes it just doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, it's a good ratio for sure.
Don't act like you have to think about it.
I know. Every morning I have to have an Americano, and I kind of do my Americano short, and we do double shot, so it has a double shot in there. I just really like the taste of good espresso that's dialed in. And that espresso just gets me going in the morning. So probably just a solid Americano. Yeah.
Well, what about to make?
To make... I'm not even thinking of a coffee drink.
Well, what would it be?
I don't know. I think the Red Bull Italian sodas are really fun to make.
Okay.
What? Tell me about that. What is a Red Bull?
A Red Bull Italian soda.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think coffee shops have different versions of it, but we put like blackberry and some other things in it, and then Red Bull, and then ice, and then if you put like a little bit of cream on top, it looks really cool, and it tastes like sweet tarts.
Yeah.
It tastes so good.
People that don't like coffee or want to kind of change it up, they come in here and they'll get an energy drink, and we have those. So.
And we have those.
Yeah.
I don't know. They look cool and they taste good.
Tastes like sweet tarts.
And I feel like everyone that has drank it loves it. So, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that does sound like, who doesn't like sweet tarts, right? And a nice little kick up the backside before you're going to dive into some studying to get the heart rate up a little bit. And wake you up in the morning, other than espresso. But guys, thanks so much for taking the time out to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it. For everyone listening, I'll put the links to the social medias and then some other links as well to the video, because we videoed this one today. And I'll put all the links in the description, and we will catch you next episode. Cheers.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.